And we have on the executive stage, we have the fostering co-creation and innovation at GE Appliances. So I will have here Marcia Brey, and well, I have Matt Savas that helped us organize so many times this Lean Global Connection. Nice seeing you guys.
Hello.
Nice seeing you, Chris. How are you doing?
Alive.
That. Is it okay to start, Chris?
It's perfect, Matt. You guys can start. You're alive.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us here at the Lean Global Connection. My name is Matt Savas. I'm with the Lean Enterprise Institute, and I'm pleased to welcome our next presenter, Marcia Brey from GE Appliances. Marcia is the Vice President of Logistics at GE Appliances, the nation's leading manufacturer of home appliances. That's the United States, that nation. With over 30 years at the company, Marcia began her journey as an engineer and has held leadership roles spanning manufacturing, quality, distribution, and enterprise transformation. As GE Appliances' first ever lean enterprise leader, a role she held from 2017 to 2021, Marcia pioneered the company's lean transformation beyond the factory floor, implementing Hoshin Kanri and cross-functional problem solving across all business functions. Her work has fundamentally shifted the company's culture from individuals meeting numbers to teams solving problems together. So with that, I'll hand things over to Marcia.
Great. Thank you so much, Matt. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. I appreciate you joining. So the topic of my presentation, as Matt said, is how GE Appliances has reinvented ourselves and how we think about, foster, and grow innovation in our company. We believe in continuous improvement in everything we do, and innovation is no different. Next slide. So to understand GE Appliances' strategy for innovation today, we have to look at where it all began. Our story starts with Thomas Edison in 1892. From the beginning, Edison surrounded himself with curious and determined minds, people who experimented, failed, learned, and tried again. They weren't talking about innovation, they were doing it, building products that improved the lives of families. This photo shows some of the first innovators at GE Appliances. You know, and I doubt that this group spent much time in meetings or reviewing presentations. Getting them to stand still for this picture was probably the hardest thing that they did that day. They were creators, builders, problem solvers. And because of that spirit, GE Appliances went on to invent industry first. The first toaster oven, the food disposer, the monitor top refrigerator, the automatic washer, and so many more. Over the decades, we kept innovating, but our priorities began to shift. As we grew, our innovation turned towards supply chain, manufacturing, and efficiency. We focused on mass production, but in doing so, we became more cautious about introducing change. And by the late 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s, our parent company asked us to focus more on generating cash and promoting the GE brand, which meant our appetite for risk and innovation faded. Go to the next slide, please. So our company had digressed from an American icon and leader in innovation to just a shadow of our past. We lost contact with our users and we became very bureaucratic. In 2016, GE sold GE Appliances to Haier. Our new parent company had a very different expectation from us. We were to define a path to grow our business to become the #1 appliance company in the United States. At that time of the sale, we had fallen to the #3 appliance company. So we had to find a way to channel that innovative spirit that Thomas Edison created, that used to create GE Appliances over a century ago, and evolve that innovative mindset to work in today's world. Next slide. And we're not the only company that has fallen into an innovation rut. There are more extreme examples of companies who were at the top of their game, but made the decision consciously or unconsciously not to evolve. So you see here on the screen, Kodak. Founded in 1888, Kodak was a giant in the photography industry and practically synonymous with film photography. However, despite inventing the first digital camera, Kodak failed to adapt to the digital photography revolution, leading to a significant decline in its business. The company filed for bankruptcy in 2012. Next slide. So Sears was founded in 1893. Sears was once America's largest retailer, known for its Sears catalog and department stores. However, it failed to adapt effectively to changes in the retail landscape, including the rise of e-commerce giants like Amazon, leading to a significant decline in its business and bankruptcy in 2018. So failure to innovate is not an option. How do you drive change in your company to make innovation the heart of your business and the heart of your employees again? Next slide. Thank you. So here are some important lessons from Peter Drucker, who's one of the fathers of modern management. Why do companies exist? We exist to create value for our customers. So I have something that someone else will benefit from and someone will pay for. The purpose of a business is to create a customer, to solve a problem. You can have the best systems and processes in the world, but if you lose sight of who your customer is and what they want, you will lose that customer. You will market to the wrong people and you will stop innovating. So we rethought how we approach innovation at GE Appliances. So here are 3 examples that we use in combination to reinvent innovation at GE Appliances. So what do you think? Bell Labs, the Chelsea Hotel, and a mountain bike all have in common? Well, all 3 inspired unique approaches to creative innovation, and each gives us insight on how we as leaders can drive these innovation characteristics into our companies. So the 3 different approaches to innovations are Bell Labs, highly structured; Chelsea Hotel, random collisions of creative people; and the mountain bike, passion-driven innovation. So let's start with Bell Labs. Bell Labs is very famous for the amount of innovations that they created. They were awarded 11 Nobel Prizes given to Bell Labs inventions over the years. They executed very impressive innovations around not only products, but also processes. Bell Labs embodies the traditional approach to innovation: very systematic, predictable, incremental, and also expensive. Bell Labs introduced 4 traditional steps: ideation, feasibility, development, and customer approval. Many businesses copied this approach. It's very structured. Teams who follow this process, you're guaranteed to get an output. Now, it might not always be what a customer wants, but you're going to get something out of this process. So it might be incremental. It might not always satisfy customer needs, but companies are guaranteed to get something from this process. An unproven innovation model took place in the famous Chelsea Hotel in Manhattan, New York. This is a building inspired by Charles Fourier's philosophy. Fourier was a French philosopher from the 1800s who wanted to create a utopian society. He believed that there are over 600 different personality types, and to create the perfect community, you need to bring all 600 different personality types together. Fourier believed that you can create the perfect balance in society by fostering an open, free environment to express creativity. The Chelsea Hotel is known as one of the most creative hubs of all times, and it attracted talented people like the ones that you see on this page. They lived together and they created famous and memorable art together. They showed the power of collaboration, open innovation, and collective creativity. The third example is the mountain bike, which is not created by any bike company at all. And I'm not sure how many people on this phone are avid mountain bikers, but if you have a mountain bike, the mountain bike that you now have is probably very different from the first mountain bike that was introduced. Almost all changes to the mountain bike were driven by users. They hacked normal bikes to make them work on a different terrain. Eric Van Hippel is the father of the user innovation theory, and he still teaches at MIT. He says that the most important innovations always come from users who look for a better way to address a need. Corporations are usually pretty bad at this, by the way, but because who knows better than what needs to be solved than those who are actually using the product? It is not somebody who knows about the consumer, it is the consumer themselves. So we took all 3 of these examples and we asked ourselves at GE Appliances, can we architect a better way to innovate? Can we combine all three of these concepts and innovate at a scale to reinvent innovation at our company? So this is what we did to create a new way of innovation we called First Build. First Build is a physical space located in Louisville, Kentucky, in the United States, where we bring users and makers together. At any one time, you might see our engineers working alongside consumers right off the street, designers, marketers, and artisan craftsmen. They are challenged with inventing what's next for the home. And they're doing it openly alongside the community to get early feedback to help the makers learn what communities want, to sell the products that result, and then to repeat the process. And the magic happens when you let users define what they need. These are a few examples of what that looks like. On the left is the indoor smoker, a product that started as an idea at First Build and is now available to consumers on the market. You can buy one if you're an avid smoker who likes to smoke meats or cheeses or vegetables, and you might think you can only do that outside. We invented a product through a user need of people who love to smoke their food, but they live in an apartment or a small place that just doesn't afford them the ability to be able to do this type of cooking outside. You can now do this inside. On the right is what we call the sourdough sidekick. This is really new. You can follow us on firstbuild.com, and we're in the process of developing this right now. It's a device that automatically feeds your sourdough starter, so you don't have to. It's still in development, as I said, and it's currently raising funds from the public to bring it to life. So this is the kind of innovation that can feel uncomfortable, right? Because it means giving up control, trusting users and makers to guide the process. It also means opening up our doors and letting the world see how our innovation really happens and what ideas that we're working on. But that transparency, that collaboration is exactly what fuels the breakthroughs that set GE Appliances apart. We let our users be the integral part of our innovation process. We let our users make stuff with us. We are giving up our stronghold, the power of dictating to consumers what innovations they should want to have in their future. And instead, we're letting them tell us what they want. And we do this not just by asking questions, not just by observing what they do, but we are turning over the drawings and the tools to let them build, to let them make modifications to their own appliances. We no longer have a master plan of what we think we will innovate in the future. We collaborate and we innovate with our users. So First Build is our innovation ecosystem. If the purpose of GE Appliances is to help users go through their life in a better way, then we have to put the user in the center of our innovation system. Ecosystem means that we are a part of something bigger than us. We do not control the entire system, which can be scary. We work with consumers, we work with communities, and we work with other companies. We're guided by people who chase their passions because their journeys shape our innovation. But don't just take my word for it. Let's hear from the makers themselves.
My love of making started from a really young age. My dad and I would go and do these science projects in the basement of my house.
We open our doors every day at 9 o'clock. Anyone can come in and join us, and we celebrate when they do. And we interact with them, and we understand their perspective.
Anyone with a good idea can come in and join us and bring their idea to life. Not just because we have the capabilities in terms of equipment, but because the team.
I saw the shop in the back, and it was like a fantasy factory, to be honest.
It was like a little kid in a candy store. I walked in and I was like, they have everything.
We have some pretty amazing ideas that just come in off the street.
My second project is building an arcade machine for individuals and children with disabilities.
I was like a self-taught maker just from watching YouTube videos. And just seeing guys on YouTube and how they do things, why they do it, that kind of inspired me to go and learn the same things. I've been making all the furniture at our house from scratch. So I've done 4 chairs, 2 nightstands, 1,000 cutting boards, and I have a vanity coming up soon, some bookshelves. I made my wedding band here. I think First Build inspires you to really push the boundary of what you can do as a maker, as an engineer, as a designer.
Every minute somebody's discovering something new, myself included. You're free to be able to come in, be yourself, and build, but then you're also free to make a difference.
Great. So hopefully that video gives you a bit more flavor of what First Build is all about. And if you're ever in the United States and you're in Louisville, Kentucky, you're welcome to join us. First Build is located on the campus of the University of Louisville. And like the video said, it's open anytime. So please come join and come make with us. So this change of thinking around innovation has cascaded into changes across our entire company, including how we are organized and how every department interacts with customers and consumers. We no longer have a traditional pyramid organizational structure with our CEO at the top of the pyramid. We have divided our company into small micro enterprises that enables this new innovation mindset, as well as enabling speed and agility. We are changing how our company works around innovation, ensuring our customers and consumers are at the center of everything that we do. Making our customers and consumers the center of our universe is a mindset philosophy we call zero distance. Zero distance is our commitment to strategically grow closer to our customers and consumers so that we can invent and make products and services that provide real-life solutions and exciting ownership experiences. So what happens when the distance between a company and its consumers is zero? When the distance between an idea and innovation is zero? Or when the distance between the frontline assembly workers, the back office staff, and the neighborhood around them is zero? Achieving zero distance is no easy feat, and we don't claim to have it all figured out. But the aspiration that's driving this innovation transformation of our company is zero distance. We're getting closer to our owners, closer to the edge of our industry, closer to the future of our categories, and closer to one another. Because when the distance that separates us is zero, the potential for breakthrough is infinite. In order to achieve zero distance, we had to rethink our organizational structure to better align our employees to our customers and our consumers. In 2017, we restructured our company, implementing the concept of microenterprises. Microenterprises are independent business units that are grounded and guided by local markets and consumer connection. Each microenterprise, and you can see the way we're organized here on the left side of the page, each of these teams resembles a startup where our employees are empowered to make their own decisions among other innovators, partners, and users. As part of our zero distance philosophy, these entrepreneurial enterprises enable GE Appliances to grow closer to customers and consumers and to be more responsive to the evolving needs of our users. This strategy enables our microenterprises to quickly pivot to modify their approach and seize new opportunities to create value for our customers and consumers. While each microenterprise is its own separate entity, they all share the same supply chain and platforms. So that's where I work in logistics, which we act as connectors. Microenterprises are free to adapt and evolve on their own, but they also benefit from cross-unit coordination and resources within GE Appliances. Kevin Nolan, our CEO, is an unyielding champion of innovation in our company. He's constantly challenging us to think different about products, processes, services, and the value that we're creating for our customers and consumers, always with the customer and consumer first. If we solve problems for our customers and consumers, then the rest of our metrics or KPIs will follow. So this model changes the roles that each of us play in the company. Kevin no longer makes the key decisions for GE Appliances. Instead, he challenges us to take ownership, to make the decisions that move our microenterprises and our platforms forward. He's been intentionally retraining himself to become a coach, not the company decision maker. For business leaders like me, our role is to create an environment where people feel safe to experiment, to try something new, to learn, and to try again. We must build a culture that encourages big dreams and gives people the freedom and the confidence to make real change. Change isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. And we want our employees to think and act like entrepreneurs. And by that, we don't just mean starting something new. It's about adopting the mindset of a creator, someone who is driven by purpose, who takes ownership and sees opportunity where others see obstacles. We want our teams to see the bigger picture of our company, to understand how their ideas and actions connect to something much larger than themselves. And finally, our consumers are not bystanders in this process. They are part of our ecosystem. We want them to know that GE Appliances is constantly co-creating with them, listening, learning, and building better solutions together. And the strategy is working for us. GE Appliances is the fastest growing appliance company in the US and has been for the past several years. We've doubled the size of our company in just 5 years, and we have moved from being the #3 appliance company in the United States to the #1 appliance company in the United States, and we're not stopping there. Our new goal is to become the #1 home ecosystem company in the US. This new approach to innovation has reignited the same spirit that Thomas Edison founded our company on. The belief that progress starts with imagination, innovation, and the courage to act on it. We're once again inventing, experimenting, and co-creating with our users. We're proving that when you put our customers and consumers at the center of everything we do, you unlock the kind of innovation that transforms not just a business, but an industry. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcia. That was great. Amazing story from GE Appliances here. I'm going to stop sharing the slides for a minute. We do have several minutes here for Q&A. So if you have questions for Marcia, be sure to throw them into the Q&A box there. I guess I'll kick things off, Marcia. Yeah, it's a tremendous story of innovation at GE Appliances, and you shared some great example, the Chelsea Hotel, mountain bike. But what's the inverse? What would you say for a company? What kills innovation? What's the what drives it
Right.
to
Well,
ail?
yeah, I lived what kills innovation, and I think it's when bureaucracy gets in the way. When you come up with an idea, an employee comes up with an idea, how many reviews do you have before an idea even gets started? And how many times do we kill great ideas? Because the more people you review with from like a board meeting, someone's going to say no. Someone's going to kill it. And people who have, who are furthest away from your customer and consumer are usually the ones who are throwing out all kinds of what if and will that and we can't, and versus allowing, with really zero budget. I should say that, one of the requirements of our first build operation is that it's self-sufficient. So there's not like a big funding arm that goes into first build. That's why, you heard me talk about the sourdough starter, and they're doing crowdfunding right now because they need the public to say that they're interested in order for them to move forward. So
GE Appliances dollars do not go into
it's
first
a
build?
little. I mean, for some equipment and changes, I won't say that
Right.
it's zero.
But
I
it's
won't say
not
the budget's
funding
zero.
that sourdough starter
They are
example.
pretty much self-funding themselves. Now the microenterprises can also self-fund first build. So if we wanted to, so our nugget ice maker is a great example. I don't know if anybody's used or bought this. It's one of our best-selling items out of first build. It's crunchy ice, the pellet ice, sonic ice in the United States, people call it. I'm sure there's other names for it, but there's a ice maker that you can put on your countertop that was made at first build. So our refrigeration team, wants to be able to have different types of ice in a refrigerator. So we can leverage those types of things together. But anyway, back to your question, I think the #1 killer of innovation sometimes is yourself. Is it the bureaucracy that you create and the requirements you have right out of the gate? Because the requirements really are, is there a market for it? Do you have a customer or consumer? I think the second thing is how risk averse you are. And we had become very risk averse. When our parent company wanted us to drive cash for the business and to protect the brand, that meant that there were a lot of things we said no to, like innovation and ideas and creativity, because we needed every quarter to be able to give our parent company that cash, that money. And we wanted to stay safe, with what we knew would work. Where our new parent company has really encouraged us to think more long-term and to put, if you're going to be number one, then you got to put yourself out there and you're going to try some things that aren't going to work. And it's okay for not every innovation idea that you come up with, it doesn't all have to go to market. And we didn't have that mindset. It was a waste of time, a waste of money if everything didn't make it all the way. So we wanted the perfect idea before we moved forward.
Okay, so more risk tolerance and avoidance of bureaucracy. A lot of questions coming in now. Here's one from Benjamin. Benjamin Lupo, what was the biggest challenge to make the culture move to the zero distance mindset and getting really close to your customers?
Yeah, it had to start with Kevin. And because Kevin was the one who gave up the most and he still does. And I'll tell you, it's still a work in progress. I don't want you all to think our CEO sits back and just kind of watch. I mean, right. But his attitude towards our company is, I own logistics. I am responsible for understanding what my Hoshin strategy, my long-term plan is, what my Hoshin vision is, and I have to present that. He asks a ton of questions now. So he's moved from a traditional CEO of being more dictating, here's what you do, and here's what I need you, and you will do this, and we're not doing that, we're doing this. Kevin Nolan doesn't do that. He questions and he pushes. I'm not going to say that it's all rainbows and unicorns. He pushes things, but it's mine. I own it. And I think that's such a difference because I have to know my customer. So I'm out in the field more than I ever was before. And it's so fun. I love going out as a logistics leader, as a supply chain leader in my company. I'm out talking to customers and talking to their supply chain leaders and understanding what they need and what problems I can solve for them, and then bringing that back and then presenting it. And I need to get buy-in from my microenterprise leaders who fund me. And so they have to be bought into it. So it's not just whatever I want to do either. It's how this ecosystem of teams work. And so it took some time. I mean, right, that mindset change, that culture doesn't just move. I would say it probably took us a good 3 to 4 years to really believe and trust it. And when it started to happen, we made decisions so fast. And I think that's one of the reasons we were able to make headway of going from number 3 appliance company to number 1, is because of the speed of decision making and doing what's best for the customer and consumer. And
was there a moment when the company realized this transition to micro enterprises was the right move, when you finally thought we're on to something?
Yeah. Yes, I think that, it was not one of those, let's see how this works. We were told, we're going to go from a pyramid structure where your CEO, CFO,
I see.
Honestly, we had the platforms next, and then we had the product lines below the platform. So in the old, and I've been here 32 years, so I've been a long time. So I've seen it both ways. And, when we started, the process, I gave up some control on that too. And so anyway, but the micro enterprises know their consumer, they know those touch points, they know how their product better than I do, and I now support them. And so it's been a shift of mindset, but not overnight. We all had to trust each other.
I see the chameleon here with the countdown clock on screen, so I think that means we're wrapping up. I will say, as somebody who's been keeping a sourdough starter alive for 3 years, I will be looking closely at that product coming out of first build, because it is a pain. My goodness, that is a good problem that you all are solving. All right, well, thank you very much, Marcia. That was fantastic, and we continue to wish GE Appliances good fortune in transforming our home environments and making them a better place to live.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Matt. I will take over from here.